Pelletier on his 100th birthday. Proclamation honoring Floyd for 100 years right now, which is simply amazing. So is there a motion to approve the proclamation honoring Floyd Pelletier on his 100th birthday?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion? Roll call?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Okay. I gotta go up front.
This morning, if you turn in your Bibles to Judges chapter 3, we're going to take a look at the second Bible B-side story that I wanted to share with you this summer. We're taking a look at these B-sides. We're calling them not the greatest hits. These might not be the most memorable Bible stories you've ever heard, but they're
Turn on the mic over there.
Proclamation honoring Floyd on his 100th birthday. Floyd 1917 in Smallwood Township in Jasper County, Illinois. And Floyd attended and graduated from Auburn High School, Auburn, Illinois in 1935. And Floyd graduated from the University of Illinois in 1944 with a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Floyd married his wife, Helen Romine, in 1941, and they remained happily married for 69 years until Helen's death. During World War II, Floyd enlisted in the United States Army Air Force on April 15, 1944, and became a pilot in the Air Sea Rescue Service and a flight instructor until his honorable discharge on September 5, 1946. Floyd continued his education at University of Illinois and received a master's degree in chemistry in 1946. And then he moved to Nebraska in 1948 and received a doctorate degree in chemistry from the University of Nebraska in 1950. Floyd moved to Floyd returned to Illinois and went to work for the Pellron Corporation and became co-owner of the company along with his two brothers and continues to work as president for the company. Now known as L. Pellron Corporation, and Floyd moved to his home on Parker Road in 1955. Floyd provided leadership and service to the Lions Co-Coordinator Fund Drive that saved the Lockport Central East High School athletic program during the 1970-71 school year and has been a model and inspiration to those who have known him. So I, George Yukich, Mayor of Village Homer Glen, along with the village trustees, do hereby deem it a privilege and a pleasure to extend this proclamation honoring Floyd Pelletier for his 100th birthday, and we wish him many more happy years to share with his family and friends. We're going to have a few more awards that we're going to be giving out, and then as soon as that's done, we're going to have a break where there's food and drink in the back. So if everyone wants to wait around, it won't take long. Home.
I don't know what he's doing, but I have that.
I wish I would have known. Okay. This is the 16th year of the Community and Nature and Harmony Awards ceremony tonight. We gather to recognize those individuals and groups who have demonstrated a commitment to the environment and in the process have significantly contributed to the village of Homer Glen. So without further delay, Trustee Sharon Swees will start the awards ceremony.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome to the celebration of Homer Glen Lands Day, which is celebrated in conjunction with National Public Lands Day. This important date is set aside to show support for recognizing and protecting significant areas in the natural environment. The Village Proclamation, written for this day in 2001, states, "The Village of Homer Glen was founded and incorporated in large part due to the desires of its citizens to preserve the unique and diverse components of the natural environment within the village and to take steps to assist in the further protection and beautification of that environment." Through the efforts of the Environment Committee, the village created the Community and Nature in Harmony Award in 2002. Now, in 2017, the 16th year for the awards, the village again recognizes individuals, businesses, community organizations, and governmental agencies that have demonstrated a commitment to the environment and in the process significantly contributed to community pride through the preservation, restoration, and/or beautification of land within the village of Homer Glen. Projects and nominations must have been completed by July 15th to meet the criteria. The tree planting ceremony, another activity of Homer Glen Lands Day, is scheduled to take place by October 2nd at Erin Hills Park. The Homer Glen Environment Committee will be coordinating the planting of the tree with Rick Gomez, Homer Glen resident and owner of Instant Shade Tree Planting. The Environment Committee would also like to thank Roger Ross, arborist and resident, for donating the 9-foot Norway spruce tree for this planting. During the awards recognition, we are honored to have the assistance of our Homer Glen Mayor, George Yukich, who will assist in presenting the certificates to individuals and groups. As the Environment Committee members take their places, I would like to thank the members of our Environment Committee for coordinating this program. Nancy Carlson, Randy Juris, Kathy Kudla, Bob Moses, Cynthia Rattay, Margaret Sabo, Joe Therese, Gary White, Larry Witzel, and Sue Stylen, staff liaison. Sue Stylen will now announce the award recipients.
Oh, no, you know. I was. It is a great pleasure to assist the Environment Committee in presenting these awards, to recognize how individuals can influence care for the natural environment, and to support businesses who showcase Homer Glen's special character, and the organizations that bring people together and generate community spirit. We have 12 projects that are receiving awards this year. To help move things along, we ask that you come forward as I read your name, and you're going to proceed to the mayor and receive your certificate and have your picture taken, and then return to your seat. Individuals, businesses, and organizations may qualify for an award. Homer Glen was founded by a strong volunteer spirit, and we continue to have volunteers and organizations working together to make wonderful things happen in our community. As we begin, we would like to recognize the following award recipients for organizing a project to better the environment. And as I say that, I would like to say, I'm going to read one sentence that summarizes their project. And when I look at everything and work with these people and finding out more information, it really doesn't capture it all. So I'm going to invite you to look at the board. At some other time, it'll be at the back of the room after this meeting and on display in the Village Hall with pictures of the properties. Okay, so first recipient is Bailey Cook. For creating the Homer Glen Gardening Club through Facebook and inspiring others to share their passion for gardening and beautifying the environment. No. Colin Clough. For coordinating an Eagle Scout project that created 6 beautiful raised plant beds featuring native plants of the area for the enjoyment of staff members and students at Oak Prairie Junior High School. Justin's cleanup team. And that would be Justin Boyce, Colton Benitis, and Tanner Benitis. This is for demonstrating environmental stewardship and inspiring others to help in a neighborhood cleanup that resulted in collecting 10 bags of trash and beautifying the Pebble Creek subdivision. Brett Miller is unable to attend tonight. His award is for coordinating an Eagle Scout project of landscaping around Dorm 13 and beautifying the grounds at Shady Oaks Camp. Parkview Christian Church. And accepting the award for the church are Bill Carroll and Jason Anhalt. For beautifying the grounds at Marion Village and Shady Oaks Camp. The inherent beauty of our community would not exist without the care of our property owners. And the following awards give recognition to owners or pieces of property that have set an example and inspired their neighbors and other residents within Homer Glen. These award recipients will receive a sign to be placed on the property which is being recognized. When I call your name, again, come forward and I will read your acknowledgement, and the mayor will give you your certificate and take a picture. And then before you return to your seat, Nancy has a sign here for your property. First recipient is Countryside Bank. And accepting the award is Barbara Ivanelli and Susan Doring. And this is for creating an attractive landscape with changing seasonal interest featuring spring bulbs, perennials, annuals, shrubs, and native grasses. The next project is a joint project. First, a call-up would be Homer Township Public Library, and accepting the award for the library will be Sherry Cazal-Laha and Jody Oliveri. And do we have anyone else? Okay. Their project was creating an art garden that features a new way to view rocks for the enjoyment of the library's patrons. And also joining the library is the Homer Glen Junior Women's Club. And accepting the award with the library is Karen Hill Davis, Ann Morrow, and Kathy Young. And the Women's Club is being recognized for collaborating with the Homer Township Public Library throughout the creation of the library's art garden. Jeffrey and Barbara Miller.
lamps and various kinds of fuels and so on and so forth and things like that. In the process of refining oil and producing
For creating an attractive and serene landscape, including a variety of trees, perennials, ornamental grasses, and a water feature on their property. Jim and Fran Prevalier. For creating a beautiful and colorful landscape with a variety of gardens and providing a habitat for pollinators on their property. Vladislav Stefaniak. I didn't hear from him today, so I don't think he's here. His award is for planting numerous spruce trees and providing a wildlife habitat on his property. Luther J. Schilling School, 2016-2017 third grade class. And accepting the award is Candice Gaza and Tasha Ohatsky. For beautifying the school property by planting tulip bulbs in memory of Tristan Grabner. And Lisa Schultz. For creating an attractive landscape and gardens which include whimsical elements for the enjoyment of your neighbors and guests. That concludes our presentation. I'd like to thank the Village Board and Trustees for helping us with this program, and the Environment Committee and all the award recipients. Thank you.
This, right? Okay, we're going to take a short break for the pictures, refreshments, and then continue on with the meeting. So everything's in back. Help yourselves. This is done. I don't think it's going to help me with a... We'd like to call the meeting back into order, please.
So what ended up happening to your father? Thanks for asking. Right. He got better. He returned to the village, and by God's grace,
All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 23rd, 2017 Village Board meeting?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse. Second. Trustee Caprio. Any discussion?
together within the same year,
Gina, could you please call the roll? Or no, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 13th, 2017 Village Board meeting?
So moved.
Trustee Varian.
Second.
Trustee Gray. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Schedule of accounts payable. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of August 25th, 2017 through September 28th, 2017?
I so move.
Trustee Caprio.
I'll second.
Trustee Suisse. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please, or Gina, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start out. Fall is a busy season in Homer Glen with many family activities for residents to enjoy. The Fall Farm Fest are in full swing with thousands of visitors each week. Please drive with extra caution due to the increased traffic and pedestrians. Take time to enjoy the fall season in Homer Glen. We'll go into the trustees. We'll start with Trustee Caprio.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Caprio. Trustee Suisse.
No report today.
Thank you. Trustee Rogers.
No report.
Thank you. Trustee Burrian.
No report.
Thank you. Trustee Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention that the Homer Stallions are having a winning season this year, and I'd like to congratulate all the kids and coaches in the programs. I just wanted to mention that the Stallions' last home games are this Saturday at Kilmer Field, starting at 2, and the varsity game is at 8 o'clock, and it is varsity night, so they're going to invite all the 8th graders out onto the field to be recognized with their parents, and that the Homer cheerleading is just about to start their competitions, I believe, October 22nd. So just wanted to say congratulations to all of them.
Thank you very much. Public comment? Oh, wait, not yet, Joe. I'm sorry. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the Treasurer's Report of Cash and Investments at August 31st. It's the 4th month of fiscal 2018. It shows the general fund with a balance of $4,993,134.51. The special event fund had a balance of $118,684.83. The environment fund had a balance of $79,328.19. The motor fuel tax fund had cash and investment balance of $3,757,797.21. Park and Recreation Fund had a balance of $3,394,972.19. The Debt Service Fund had a balance of $2,610,722.31. The Capital Project Fund had a cash and investment balance of $1,068,134.82. The EAB Tree Replacement Fund had a balance of $385,837.32. And the final fund, the Capital Bond Fund, had a balance of $14,853,681.25 for a grand total, all funds, $31,262,292.63. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Any questions? We don't have the clerk here right now. Ginny, you got anything? Village Attorney?
No report, Your Honor.
Public safety officials?
No report.
Got anything back there? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Village manager?
No report, ma'am.
Boy, that was quick. All right, now we're at public comment. I'd like to make one public comment. I think that every time there's something on TV where they have the national anthem, I think everybody should stand. I think the stuff that's going on right now is kind of ridiculous, and I think it would be great to boycott them. Here, here. All right, no one wants to talk? We're going to have Frank Poujon first, but I don't see Frank. He's having cookies. Can you do what? Yeah, John can go first. Oh, boy. Yes, I think you should.
All right, I got a couple problems here. I'd say about 140th and Wilcook Road, Illinois American Water ripped up the street over there, and then all of a sudden they replaced it without compacting the fill underneath the half of the road that they ripped up, replaced, fixed, and whatever. And then with that, you go down and it's like boom. I mean, my car almost jumps off the road. Then I got this here from Village of Homer Glen with the electric, whatever you want, okay, aggregation program. What they say in the one letter is not the letter that the village sent out. And then with that, it's contradictory to what they're actually pushing. All right, my big concern right now, I've been at the VFW for probably 20-some years. These articles suck. These guys can kneel down as much as they want. I grew up in Englewood. I know what that is like. I fought. I went to school there, went to Harper High School, went, you know, and the rest of that stuff. And I'm going to tell you something. They're pushing, like this one guy wrote in our paper in the Southtown. There's always protesting police shootings and unarmed African Americans. This started out, like it says in this article, with Kaepernick. Now all of a sudden, this is getting to a national problem, and Chicago's paper is putting these pictures of these teams that are all kneeling down and not. They have no comprehension. I think their parents never taught them you have to have respect for our flag and our country. I just left the VFW before I came here. He will not televise any more football games. Love it. And all I can say, support me. If you don't, there was a war, they called it the Civil War. And as things are going, I talked to a few people, a lot of people. And with that, there's going to be a war between the blacks and the whites, the way this is turning out. My wife told me I'm crazy for even opening my mouth, but I'll tell you, I believe there could be, if this don't stop someplace. And with that, the Football League is condoning it, and they should not.
I agree. All right, thank you, John. Your turn.
We got a hand on it.
Oh, while Mr. Boujan is passing out his stuff, I forgot to add one thing. Tonight, possibly on Channel 5, there might be, because there was a film crew out there talking to the post commander about this. So look on the news tonight, please.
I was going to talk on a different subject, but I would suggest maybe the board think about making a resolution and suggesting all these multimillionaire ball players, what they can do is put money into the city. They need jobs. And these guys all have a lot of money, so disrespecting the flag is not the way to do it. Put some money into the cities, create jobs. My reason for here tonight, I was talking to Mike briefly, I heard we want to widen 151st Street from Cedar to Bell. It'll basically be 3 lanes. Isn't that what you said, Mike? Okay, here's why we shouldn't do it. First of all, it's a village road. But I ask all of you, it's on here, take a ride from 131st and LaGrange Road to Ridgeland, 9600 West. I lived over there. A couple things happened. They wanted to widen that road years ago. And, you know, when they widened 159th Street before Orland Square was even built, we said, no, screw you, we're not going to do it. Because we live there, we don't want that traffic. And I went by there, I go to Mama Vesuvio's that way, it's beautiful still. You widen 151st, they'll start wanting to put businesses in there. They're defeating what we came out here, get away from the congestion. And IDOT, believe me, IDOT I've dealt with, they're a self-perpetuating unit. All they do is build roads, and they hire subcontractors. I say put money first. Let's reopen the mental health institution, mental health hospital in Tinley Park before people first, roads second. You know, in other words, I think it's a waste of money. I don't know, Mike, how much is that going to cost us? $1 million? What's the price tag on that for the village? Well, give a rough estimate, 1 to 2 million?
It'll
Or
probably
more?
be more, but we're going to be looking to get grant funding for it.
So, well, from the government?
Correct.
Well, that's still our money. We pay income taxes. It's still my money. $2 million to widen the road? Now, if it's a safety issue, that's a different thing. But I come over to the library all the time. There's a left-hand turn lane. You know, you widen it to 3 lanes, you're just going to have more traffic. You're not going to help anything. And we're not growing at that fast a rate. People can't afford these houses out here. I know a lot of people that, with the taxes and the water bills. So we're 25,000 now. Just as an analogy, look at Lincoln Way when the superintendent built 2 schools. Now that's not the same thing. But all you're going to do is bring more cars there, if anything. The 159th, the 43rd. Why widen the 151st? What is that going to do for the village? Just think about it, George, and the trustees, and talk it over. And if you have any questions, you got my name and number on the bottom. But I don't see any benefits. All I see is negatives. And I don't know if any of that, would any of that property be zoned commercial after that? It could be, couldn't it? It's, Mike? Do you know? Okay, it could be zoned commercial. Then you get stores popping up there. Drive from 135th and LaGrange, there's not one store. It's Forest Preserve, it's beautiful. I lived over there for 27 years. And the big guys try to tell the little guys what to do. We're the little guys. Goliath is IDOT. Just to get off the subject, kind of on the subject, they never even had a widen 159th. I lived in Hidden Valley Estates from 2000 to 2007. They built 355, no more traffic. No, IDOT just wanted to widen it. Everybody gets off at Bruce with their trucks. There's no more traffic today than there was those years ago. You get a few trucks, but they're digging up our whole place and spending millions of our dollars. People before roads. The road lobbies, I don't want to take too much time, but the road lobbies have a tremendous lobbying. The truckers, the road builders, Ozinga, everybody makes money off it, but they're making money off us. So just think about it, and you know, I would, if I was on the board, I'd vote against it. And if you decide you want to pass it, I would go out and get a petition saying we don't want it.
Well, that's still a long time coming, though. That's not going to happen right
but I
away.
think I'm nipping it in the bud before they do it.
Okay.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Any questions from anybody? Any trustees? No? Is Notre Dame going to win Saturday? We hope so. Miami of Ohio. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. That ends public comment. We're going into legislation. Is there a motion to grant an extension of an existing special use plan permit development for Homer Glen Center, Phase 1 and Phase 2, for an additional 1-year period beginning on August 9th, 2017 through and including August 9th, 2018 for certain real property located at 14401 West 143rd Street in Homer Glen. George Gatsis on behalf of Homertown Plaza, LLC applicant, case HG0516-MS and case HG0616S. Is there a, Trustee Caprio?
Second.
Trustee Berrien, discussion?
Well, I would just like Mr. Gatz, happy 12th anniversary. Do you think, yes, you think, I mean, I don't know if 1 year, you know, this has been going on and on and on. Do you think it's going to be a year or two? Are you any closer than you were before?
Well, depending on what the economy does, I see the economy starting to do better. I'm hoping, I would say a year or two, to be honest. Might even be longer.
And this approval helps you along in that respect, maybe.
Is your finance lender still?
Pardon me?
Your
Kinda hard to
financing
hear with
lender?
that fan.
Your financing lender, are they still on board with financing the project and doing that?
They're on board, but there are certain things we have to accomplish first, like...
I know we talked about this last year.
Yeah, and I pretty much talked with the committee a couple of weeks ago when we had met, and there's some conditions, different conditions now that they want me to abide by, so I'm going to do the best I can.
What type of conditions? More stringent banking?
Well, one, they were talking about maybe getting somebody else involved with like a partnership, they like the idea of starting with just phase one with one building first, with the smaller building. And then possibly, I've got some other properties on 159th and stuff that we're pretty much selling, and I do have the opportunity now with the board to go with the, instead of going with the sewer and water, going with the,
Well and septic.
with the well and septic. So that'll save quite a bit, even though I have the pipe sitting out there,
Okay.
and that's about
Any other
it.
questions?
I have a few questions. Obviously, I'm new here. You haven't seen me for the past 12 years. But what makes you think that you're any closer this year? I mean, a lot of projects have moved along. You say that once the economy gets better. I mean, I know it's not where it should be, and the economy probably never will be where it should be for some people, but projects are getting done. So what makes you think you're any closer? I've viewed videos and minutes from previous years' meetings where you've said that you were 80% leased, you were ready to put a shovel in the ground, and nothing has ever happened out there.
Right, because certain things happened and we couldn't, it was 80% lease, it's not 80% lease now. And that's one of the conditions that the lenders want, is 75 to 80% lease. And some of the tenants that I did have have backed out because of the fact that 143rd is going 4 lanes. They don't know, oh, if we open it, if you build your building and we get a store in there, what's going to happen? They're going to block us. Are we going to have any business? And that's kind of,
Like the mayor said about 151st Street, 143rd is nowhere near a plan to be widened yet. It's not in the next year or two. So is this going to be an ongoing 3, 4
but a lot of the
years?
tenants, a lot of the people don't know that. They don't know when it's going to start. I know it's in the process right now, but probably take a while. So, you know, I really want to get this thing done. I mean, I've been at it for so long.
I'd like to see it get done too. I mean, I've lived out here a long time. I've seen your project, what you've proposed, and it looks like a good idea. It's just a matter of, at a certain point, you know, we had this some years ago with some developments on Belt Road where I've had friends who, I've lived out here for 16 years, and they would go by certain developments and see them just take forever to get done. And they thought that, you know, that was wrong. What's the problem with Homer Glen? Why does nothing ever get built? There are signs go up that say a development's coming, and nothing ever comes of it. It never comes to fruition.
Yeah,
and like I said,
like I
if
told the
you're
lenders, everything else is paid for. The engineering, all is done. The pipes out there paid for. I mean, I've got over $1 million that I've paid already, including the property next door, in order to get to phase 1 and phase 2. And you know, I just have to do something with it. As we stated in our last meeting with the committee, I mean, that was a dream that we had, and I've had since I started this. And I moved out here in 1969 on the same property right next door, and I live right next door now. So I'd really like to see it done myself. So whatever I got to do, I'm trying to do, and I just need more time.
Mr. Gatzis has been coming before us a little bit before I became a trustee, but I look at it this way. He's got a for sale sign up there too, so if he can sell it, he's going to sell it. So in my opinion, he's not hurting anything. He's been doing this for 12 years where he's coming before us trying to get something to work, and unfortunately the economy sometimes has sucked and it still sucks now. So I think that it's his dream to get something done. We're not bothering anyone. You don't hear any of the neighbors complain. I don't see an issue with it. If you come back next year, I still won't have an issue with it. I'd like to see you get it done too, but I understand if you don't have the money, you can't do it. And both of us at our age, you know what, I don't want to start from scratch again and giving up everything and losing it. And then what
And
do you
I'm
do?
still making payments every month, so.
Yep. So, I mean, it's up to you guys on this one, but
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to see you have your project get underway. I'd just like to know, to be really honest with you, what you're saying right now, I've seen in videos and minutes from previous meetings. It sounds like a lot of the same stuff is still the same issues that you're having.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much the same stuff. I'm being honest.
I appreciate that.
When did you originally purchase the property?
When did I purchase it? Well, I purchased the property, the 5-acre parcel was in 1977, and the 4-acre parcel next to it, which is going to be the phase 1, was 2006, 2007, 2006. And I had that contingent on being commercial and doing a planned unit development with all the property together.
Can you just walk us through real quick on some of, more specifically, on when you're talking to potential tenants, some of the feedback you're getting, right? We've heard that you've been really close with specific tenants over the years.
Well, I still have a lot of the same ones
Okay.
that are still interested, and the road doesn't bother them, but some we lost.
Okay. So what are we hearing from those that are still interested but not willing to sign
Well,
the paper?
They really want to see construction and a building going up, so
Yeah.
they could actually, letters of intent legally don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So they want to see, in order to sign a lease, when they're going to start, and of course, negotiating the rent process, how many months they're going to get free for their build-outs and stuff like that. They'd like to see something going up, and that's what I'm trying to do. And once we get that going up, I'm sure it's going to be more than 70, 80% rented.
Those that are interested now, what percentage roughly do you think it's at?
Right now, 60, maybe 65, 70.
Okay.
I've got doctors, chiropractors. I did have Starbucks, but I'm not going to use Starbucks. We're going with Dunkin' Donuts because I had them. And they're still interested. They're all ready. They're all ready to do it. So,
And the lenders want what type of occupancy before they're going to lend you the money?
what's that again?
Lenders want what percentage?
What percentage interest?
Yeah, no. You're saying the issue is with borrowing the money, right?
Well,
How
I
full
have
do
to
they
borrow.
want it?
I've already paid for the property.
No, I get that.
No, George,
And the
what he's looking
construction.
for, George, what he's looking for is he wants to know percentage of renters. What do they want, 75, 80, 85, 90? For having people come in and sign a contract to rent. What are they looking for before they'll lend you the money?
Right now, the last bank I talked to, Fifth Third, 75%.
Okay. So we're close.
We're close.
65 now.
65 to 70, yeah.
Okay.
So we're close.
Okay.
But the other tenants want to see, I mean, if I was a tenant too, I want to see when it's going up.
Sure.
If I'm going to sign a lease,
Sure.
and I know I'm going to get in there to start a business, I want to know when it's starting.
Absolutely. The reason I ask that is in the years I've been here, we've always been really close to the funding, right, which is the key to this. And it's always been really close, and that's why I'm asking those specific questions, because that's the key to this at the end of the day. I would just say for the record, we discussed this at length in economic development.
Right.
We had a vigorous debate back and forth. And I would say at the end of that debate, for many of the reasons that the mayor just mentioned, the Community and Economic Development Committee was fully supportive of another year extension. But we went through many of the same discussions that we're talking about tonight. And I think for the reasons that the mayor mentioned, it was unanimous support for a one-year extension from the committee level.
Any other questions or comments? Gina, you want to make a roll call, please?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burden?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I didn't hear what was that. Oh, I know. Oh, we've done all the engineering and everything like that, but as far as it being widened, I don't see how that's going to affect anything as far. Well, we have, no, I understand. we've done a lot of that.
Excuse me.
We've done a lot of that in our engineering process.
Excuse me.
I've met with the board.
I think one thing to consider is 143rd Street is Will County's jurisdiction. Any kind of access to their right-of-way, they are going to require a permit, and typically they require turn lanes and deceleration lanes and things of that nature. So
Yeah.
any kind of permitting would be required, whatever their requirements would have to be
That
constructed.
would be with the county.
Okay. Motion carries. Thanks,
Can I
George.
say something too about the, we were talking, I didn't want to stand up before because I didn't know if it was proper or not. I just want to give you my opinion on those kneelers, if I can.
Make it quick, though, please.
I'm a veteran myself. I've been in the service for 4 years, and I really see these kneelers as being disrespectful to our flag,
And to the
to us
veterans.
veterans, and to the United States of America, to the people. I think the Football Association, the NFL, all of them, they shouldn't be involved with this, and that they should take a stand and either fire those individuals that are kneeling, get rid of them, and everybody get together so we could be one happy group, okay? And respect our flag and respect the United States. I just don't see, I think, as you said, I think it's ridiculous.
It is.
What this is happening. It's like Trump against the NFL and against, I mean, it's not a racial issue. It's nothing like that. I mean, every time we say the Pledge of Allegiance, I feel honored as a veteran, and I put my hand over my heart when I say the Pledge of Allegiance because I appreciate the freedom that we have, but they have the freedom to do what they want, but find another platform. Why use the Football League? Why? I think we should boycott them.
No. We're not going to get into a battle here. Thank you, George.
I think we should boycott them, and that's it. That's my opinion. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. All right. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-058, an ordinance granting approval of a special use permit amending the planned unit development in the C2 local business district and special use permits for an automobile service station and a mini mart associated with a gas station for certain real property located at 12108 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois. Petroleum Management Team, case number HG1603-S. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Trustee Caprio, and great. Discussion.
Yes, Director Gotti, I know there was some situations with the lighting, and according to the Farnsworth letter, it's all in compliance now. Because I know that was an issue. What did they do?
Well, the only issue was they need to install lighting controls after they close out the business, which the architect is here. He agreed to, and that was the last item on the lighting review, and it fully complies.
How about the sign regulations?
The sign regulations too, and we specifically mentioned the 3 Gulf signs on the canopy as a part of the PUD, just to make sure everything is covered. So.
Okay. There's 3 of those Gulf signs?
Yes.
On there?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'd like if you would like to explain or has anything to say to us.
I have a couple of questions too when you're done, Trustee Sweets.
And just one other comment. I know the Plan Commission received the Farnsworth letter that explains a lot of things. You know, maybe in the future, I'd like to see that in the board packet. Some people are interested in seeing the details. I am. So, thank you.
Trustee Gray?
On the plan, there's a small site off to the side of what looks like the canopy, and it says primary diesel dispenser and a satellite diesel dispenser, and I just wonder if you could tell us the difference between those two?
Those 2 dispensers are for box trucks, for diesel only, not for semi-trucks. They're not going to have a canopy over them.
Okay, so there won't be any canopy over that? But
Correct.
Can you fuel from either side? Is that what that's for? So that if somebody has 2 tanks or a tank on the passenger side?
Yes.
Or is it to fuel 2 trucks at the same time?
We can fuel more than one truck at a time there, but if he does pull in between the 2 islands, he can fuel tanks on either side.
So, and, you know, again, I don't have a problem with the diesel or these islands, but if it were a landscape truck with a trailer on the back, would he be prohibiting the driveway entrance coming in from the west side?
Yeah. He would not be prohibiting other vehicular traffic in there. It's, of course, assuming that he knows how to drive his vehicle correctly. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to be funny, but the way we laid it out, it would accommodate that.
Okay. Another question is, are you planning any outdoor storage or sales?
Outdoor storage or sales? No, sir.
Okay. And do you guys have any other stores in the area? Any other Gulf stores? No? Okay.
No.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else? Gina, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burrian?
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-060, an ordinance amending chapter 220 zoning articles 3, 8, 9, and 12, amending to the code of the Village of Homer Glen, applicant case number HG 1719-8.
So moved.
Trustee Burrian. Do I have a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Trustee Rogers?
Did you read it the right way, though? Yeah. I think it just...
Okay. We'll go back one. Is there a motion?
Well, wait.
I'll withdraw the motion. I withdraw the motion.
Okay. And you withdraw the second. Okay. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-059, an ordinance granting approval of a variance from the exterior construction standards of 75-67A of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen and allow a different percentage of the materials required on the first floor of a single-family residence for certain real property located at 13734 South Dublin Drive, Homer Glen, Illinois?
So moved.
I'll second.
And Caprio. Discussion.
I have a few comments, Mayor, but I'd like to hear what others have to say first.
Okay. Does anyone have any comments before Trustee Suisse?
Before Trustee Suisse?
Before Trustee Suisse. She'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
I don't really have any comments other than I like this project. I like the house. I have driven this neighborhood, and I talked to a few of the residents there, a couple to the south, a couple that answered the doors. They told me that they had no problems with it. I know subsequently we've heard from one other resident that said that there was an objection, but I don't know what that objection was. And I did ask Director Gaddy to bring in some wood samples to show us of what the front of the house looked like. And I was pretty satisfied with all the answers I got to my preliminary questions. So,
Is the petitioner here?
Yeah.
You look familiar.
Do I?
My issue with not having brick, the 100% brick around, and then whatever the wood, whatever you're doing above that, is because we're setting a precedence. We had a similar house that we discussed in Spring Creek Woods not too long ago. Similar style, a lot more glass, and he had to put stone around. My issue is that we start opening up that building code where, okay, 50% not brick, 75%, when we have others coming in, they were going to look at your house and say, well, if he did it, why can't I do this? I mean, this is, it's almost like opening that can of worms. You're not sure where you're going to go with this. So that's why I'm not in favor of, I think it's nice as long as it's not all these different colors. It looks like it's browns and white and stucco. Is that what you're,
Yes.
because we only see it's almost like just a black and white drawing that we have.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's definitely an elevation. And I understand that it's to some extent opening up. And the reason that I decided to attempt to get this approved is due to the potential ordinance in there that if it meets architectural merits, there is the possibility for the Board of Trustees to have this approved. And the reasoning behind a lot of the material choices is because it's not a ranch-style home. The facades are very vertical, having them split, and that's why I covered the sides and the back with brick. None of it was really the cost efficiency. It was really the pure design of the home and the style of the stucco that accentuates the actual form of the building itself. And I've tried covering as much as possible with the sides, and even with the sides, I'm not too happy with the brick and the stucco combination, but I wanted to cover it just so that it blends in with the neighborhood, the materials that are selected. And there is homes around the area, even essentially adjacent to our building, that have the upper floor all stucco.
Oh yeah, the second floor we don't have an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a small portion of the actual first floor that's really covered in the stucco to really accentuate the actual form itself. And there isn't that many properties in the area there that are left open for purchase. There might be like three or four lots that are open, or maybe three, in Erin Hills that would be building next to us. Two next to us, and there's one on the corner that would be covered. And since it's a brand new subdivision to some extent, Erin Hills and Dublin Drive. And really, we're doing this not to sell the home. It's really our home to live in. I would not be here if this was essentially something that I'm looking to sell, because I would just cover it with brick. It's really for us based on the style. I was working for an architectural agency for 8 years before I switched over, and it's really what we found the style to be. Home we wanted to live in. It's our first home. We have a 7-month-old child, which is perfect. Across the street, you have a park for us. But that's the reasoning behind it. And none of it is really the cost efficiency of building using the building material of stucco.
I drove the subdivision as well, and the homes around there, although this is unique to that area,
yes,
I really like the design, and I applaud you for
looking
at it.
I'll just add that I've been working with a group over in this area on the park, some issues that they've had with the park for the past year, and with the Illinois American Water, and there's probably about 12 different email addresses on there, so in just various correspondence with them, I told them that there was, that this home was coming to the committee, and if they thought that there would be any concerns that they should come, and the only response I got back was that they didn't have a problem with that. They being the one individual that I spoke to. Of the rest of the emailed Shane, I never heard from anybody.
Are you in Homer Glen today?
Right now? No, I'm in Hickory Hills.
Just curious.
Yeah, it's our first home. We're in a condo. It's getting too tight with the little one, so.
Understood.
It's time to move.
Any other questions? Gina, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Burrian?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, back to floor. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 17-060, an ordinance amending chapter 220, zoning articles 3, 7, 8, 9, and 12, and adjacent attachment 2 to the Code of Village of Homer Glen, applicant case number HG 1719A.
Moved.
A second.
Discussion?
Yes, I think there was a attachment here that...
Yes, you can vote on this 3 different ways with the conditions. The conditions are that commercial and industrial developments over 50,000 square foot building would require a public hearing before a plan commission as part of the zoning approval process. Or 2, that up to 15% of the outdoor seating for restaurants are subject to the village board permit without the need for a special use permit. Or 3, liquor sales for retail and restaurants are subject to village board permit approval with the need of a special use permit.
Right. The Plan Commission wanted to keep 2 and 3, and I definitely agree with that. Number 1, under the PUD development...
Wait, Sharon, oh, you disagree?
No.
Oh,
2 and 3 is already part of our chart.
Trustee Swees, let me just clarify. The Plan Commission did not recommend number 2 and number 3, and item number 1 was just a suggestion based on some comments from board members. So the Plan Commission approved or recommended for approval not to allow outdoor seating without a special use permit and not to allow liquor sales without a special use permit. These are just alternate suggestions. So I just want to make sure we're clear on it. These were just suggestions.
Yeah, we wanted to keep the way there was a chart that they needed to do the special use. But except for number 1, under PUD, I think that's a great idea because I was asking about on page 5 under that description where it says a PUD or planned unit development contains 2 or more principal buildings. So I said, okay, what if someone that's just as larger than a Meyer wants to come in? It's not clear in that paragraph. So I think when Director Gotti put in the other condition that commercial and industrial developments over, say, a certain square footage, 50,000 or whatever we want to put in there, would require a public hearing before the Plan Commission as part of the zoning approval process. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
whatever square footage, you want to bring it down, stay at the same.
Sure. In talking to Manager Mertens, I think we talked through some of those issues and some of those concerns, and I asked him to draft out what we have in front of us as options because I think it is a balance. I think I'm comfortable with number 1 with the 50,000 minimum. On number 2, the 15% of the outdoor seating, I think is when we're talking about someone that is going to have sort of permanent 15% isn't a lot, right? So if we're going to talk about someone having permanent outdoor seating like many establishments have in the town now, that's a different situation. Under 15%, right? I think that's something in my world is acceptable. And then on the third one, the approval for the liquor sales, that's still coming to us because we're going to have to approve an additional license. And so I think a couple points. One, I think these changes are overall really great changes, and I appreciate the time that staff and Plan Commission has put in to go line by line through these things. I think it's a needed cleanup, and we talk about at times wanting to be more business friendly and efficient and streamlined and make it easier to do business in Homer Glen. And I think all of these existing with the addition of these 3 additional conditions, I think are that point that we're trying to streamline for business so we don't have to string them out for 6, 7, 8 weeks at a time, but still reserve the right at the board to protect our interests and protect. So I just think overall these are all good changes for the efficient streamlining of doing business in Homer Glen, which is, I think, one of the number 1 things we hear in the challenges in this town is. So I think this is all positive, and I'm supportive of all 3.
Yeah, I think it's, to your point, I think it's key that we keep it less cumbersome, but yet controlled.
Well, okay, on the Homer Glen code, it's attachment 20, 220, 2.4. I don't, it says outdoor seating associated with a permitted restaurant. That's all special use. I agree with that. If you look at the chart, it's in blue. It's 2.4 towards the back. I mean, I think any type of outdoor seating should get a special use because we don't know.
Well, what we're saying here is anything above 15% would still require a special use. Anything below 15% is something that,
It would be similar, I'm sorry to interrupt, it'd be similar to like Mr. Beef, how he's got like the picnic tables on the side, or that shopping center, where this would be similar to the French restaurant, how it's a permanent structure.
Right. Well, that's not what the chart is showing. Look at your chart. Your chart says special use on all of it. It doesn't say if it's under 10%.
no.
So that's why we're changing. The amendment
The
is.
proposed amendment here.
Right.
Yes, so the intent of the suggestion is if it's a permanent establishment like some of the facilities on Bell Road, obviously that would still go for a special use permit. If it's a Steamers or a Mr. Beef and they just want to bring a couple tables out during the summer months, they're not permanent, it's under that percentage. And that percentage could be whatever the board decides, but we're looking to make that a little bit of a simpler process. Because
Like the Starbucks or
right.
Chipotle.
So those are simple things. To make them pay the extra fee and the time frame for a public hearing is not the most business friendly. That's why the suggestion was made. Something more permanent definitely needs plan commission and board approval. We're not suggesting that change.
My only concern, I think we talked about this at A&F with allowing, without monitoring what's happening out there, is making sure that these sidewalks are still ADA compliant then. Because we'll have an issue where, you know, they just want to put a table and 2 chairs, and now the sidewalk is no longer ADA compliant. So then that would be where code enforcement would.
Those types of
as long as we have
uses,
that kind of.
the concept you can see on the picture, we would do a staff review just like we would do before a plan commission item. We would do the same summary memo. The only real change is we're suggesting on these small ones not to have to go through the public hearing process. It would be the same type of evaluation. The board would still have approval authority, and if the board wanted to kick it back to the plan commission, it obviously had that right. But in the handful that might take up on that opportunity, we think that's a good benefit for the business community. And, you know, society itself is changing where they're encouraging more and more of these types of open environments. So we would definitely make sure that there's complete access, meets ADA requirements and all the other same requirements.
Would you see this adding to code enforcement's
Just going to say that.
day-to-day?
If they go beyond, so for instance, based on the picture, if we allowed 2 tables and all of a sudden it turns into 6 tables, that's a code enforcement issue.
Somebody's got to report that.
Right.
Correct. Just like if somebody has a restaurant and they say there's 20 tables and we go in there and they cram in 30 tables and it doesn't meet the occupancy, it's the same process. And yes, it is a report or a notification.
Because, you know, a game day event, they're going to throw as many tables as they can to get as many patrons as they can.
Correct. In this type of environment, they're only going to be able to fit so many. And you have a similar issue whether you give it a special use permit or not.
And we're still saying this is with the village board approval.
Correct.
So it's not like we're just handing over the reins. It's still with our approval. And I think my overriding point on this is, in my opinion, we need to do some of these things to become a bit more business friendly. And not just business, but we know lots of these, not lots, almost all of these, certainly small businesses type, are putting their financial future on the line in some cases to start a business, and time and money. And so it's an effort to streamline, but I guess the most important part here is none of this is set in stone. If we have issues, we can always come back and talk about rescinding. But I just think these are the sorts of things that we need to start looking at to streamline and put out the, you know, Homer Glen open for business sign a little bit more. And again, it's not written in stone, right? We can rescind it if we have issues.
Agreed.
Well, it's not, I don't, then the sale of alcohol beverages would not require a special use permit. I think that's wrong. I think it should require, a sale of alcohol should require a special use permit.
I may be wrong in this. I think we're one of the only municipalities that require that.
I'm not sure about
The
that.
reason we suggested that is liquor sales is not really a zoning-related item. It's not a physical change to the operation of the business. There's not driving patterns that change. It's not a physical structure that change. It's purely an internal operation. The zoning committee really doesn't have authority over the internal operations. We still would recommend, obviously, village board approval. For instance, Chipotle, when they came through with their restaurant, went through the entire zoning process and then realized that they needed to get a special use permit for liquor. They never have had that problem before, so they had to hold off liquor sales for about 45 days until they went through the process. And so the zoning committee usually doesn't have anything to add when you do a special use permit. So it normally just passes, and it requires village board approval anyways. So the thought process is still run it through the same liquor commissioner review and then village board approval like we normally would, because you usually have to adjust the amount of liquor license, but just not have that business owner spend the extra dollars on the special use permit, and specifically the time that it takes to go through the public hearing process, the zoning process, and then the village board process. So it's a timing related issue and a cost related issue.
Well, let me ask you, so on special use, how many have we denied?
I'm not aware that we've denied any.
But then residents are not being aware of what's happening if it's an establishment right here.
Sure, and so there's specific criteria that.
Are they still going to be notified about a liquor sale?
No, and if this changes, if it doesn't require a planned unit development or a special use, and a lot of projects still would, even with these modifications, there would just be the normal legal notice of site plan approval and village board approval on a project, or on this case, a liquor. So if you had an establishment that didn't have liquor and we changed this, an existing restaurant, for example, it would just be the normal publication process through the board. And, you know, so in order to get a liquor license, you need to meet certain criteria, certain size, distances from schools, churches, things of that nature. All of that criteria stays the same. There's really not, again, getting back to the specific point, there's not a specific zoning hook, if you will, that a plan commission would add on to it. The board has authority of hours of operation and things of that nature. So it just really streamlines it and just makes it a little bit more business friendly.
And it gives us, we still have to add a liquor license to it. There's no open liquor license right now, so everything still has to come before the board to approve a liquor license. So nothing's going to change there. It's going to make it easier.
And I also think on some of these things, it's clear when there may be a sensitivity on one of these, right? And I think that's incumbent upon us to be proactive about that, and like the issue we just dealt with tonight, be proactive and talk to some of those residents. And so it doesn't exclude that ability to do that either. I just think that that's the exception, that we come up to a sensitivity issue on a liquor license, but we make the rules now that are more stringent for that 1 in 20 or 30 or whatever. And we still reserve the right to, hey, we're going to know if it's a sensitive topic, or think and be able to reach out to residents and have that discussion ahead of board action on something of that nature.
One comment.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Let's take a vote.
Right. All right.
One point I wanted to make is the reason why, as Mike had pointed out, the reason why you adjust your liquor licenses when you're about to award one or deny it is that way there's no guarantee, there's no, if I'm an applicant, I can't say I've got a right to one of those because
it's open.
I can see where a special use permit, you can get in trouble with that. Because if you grant the special use permit, say, we're going to allow you to sell liquor here, now they've got an argument that says, you owe me a liquor license. You may not want to approve it later on down the road, or maybe something comes up. But now you've already said, we're allowing you to sell liquor, even if they haven't been awarded a liquor license yet. And I can see an argument being made where down the road, hey, you already approved my special use permit. You must give me a liquor license. And now you're kind of in a catch-22.
Eric, in your work in other municipalities, would you say that us having liquor licenses as a special use is the outlier?
Yes.
Have you worked in a village that had special use for liquor?
We may have, I don't recall right off the top, but I know that typically it's through the liquor commission and it's not a zoning issue.
It's safe to say common practice by municipalities is to not have it as a special use.
Correct.
And so I think that's where when people look to do business in Homer Glen, it's like Homer Glen is the island on an issue like this that requires these things. And I don't know this as fact on this specific issue, but I think it's some of these things that we may never hear from people because we have a bit of a reputation that we're a little more cumbersome on some of these things. And again, that's a balanced with, we want to maintain our ability to control the activity in this town, and I think that's there. None of this is saying, hey, liquor commissioner, give them out as you see fit. It's still coming before the board. And Lynn, to your comment, which I think is a absolute prudent comment, I think that is incumbent upon us to identify those more sensitive issues and be proactive about that. And if we're not, or if we have issues with this, again, we can roll this back, right? But to not do some of these things because of the what ifs, or the one in a large number of situations. Maybe that's the case, and we sit back here and say, hey, we tried it, right, and it didn't work, and here's why, and here's the issue we had. Let's roll it back. And I'd be open to that discussion too. But for right now, I think this is an effort to be a little less cumbersome for the business community and people that are putting their personal, financial futures on the line, to just make it a little less cumbersome and a little more financial friendly too, which I think is a big part of that.
Any other questions, discussion? Gina, call the roll, please.
Wait.
Need a first and a second.
We amending, we had a...
Well, I thought we were voting on all three.
It hasn't been amended yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one do you want? Do you want 1, 2, and 3? Do you want 2 and 3?
Yeah, I would move to amend it with 1, 2, and 3. Do I need to read it into the record, or?
Well, I've read it once already, but I'll be more than happy to.
No, we didn't read the amendment.
Well,
We did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think so.
The amendment would need to be read into the record.
Read it into the record.
Okay,
You want me to read it into the record?
go ahead.
Okay, so I would make a motion to amend the motion on the floor. Consider for approval ordinance number 17-060, an ordinance amending chapter 220 zoning articles 3, 7, 8, 9, and 12. I think I have those Roman numerals correct. And attachment 2 of the code of the Village of Homer Glen with the following conditions. 1, that the commercial and industrial developments over a 50,000 square foot building area would require a public hearing before the Plan Commission as part of the zoning approval process. 2, that up to 15% of the outdoor seating for restaurants are subject to Village Board permit approval without the need for a special use permit. And 3, liquor sales for retail and restaurants are subject to Village Board permit approval with the need of a special use permit.
Okay.
Could that be without the need?
I'm sorry, it should be without the need. I apologize.
Sorry, without the need or a special need, without the need of a special use permit.
Right.
That's what was confusing me before.
Okay, so we...
That was his first, now second.
That's the motion on the
Right. Okay, so we have the first and we have the second, so we call the roll. Or are we discussing this again? Gina, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burrian?
Aye.
Motion
Mayor,
carries.
Mayor, I just have a quick comment to that, if I can. I think as a board, we're going to have to be more proactive, especially what Lynn mentioned about the mullets. I remember that was a very contentious 143rd and Wilcook, And if the residents didn't know, if they didn't have a public hearing and didn't get letters, they would have no clue. So we're going to have to be more proactive when something like this comes up.
Well, the
If it's
letters
that
still,
close.
the letters still go out for 250 feet, correct? Or,
No.
Not without a public hearing.
See, and that's,
all right.
But I'm in full agreement on
All
that,
right.
absolutely.
Then what we have to do, any liquor license does come forward, we do have to make sure that we notify, put an ad in the paper, do whatever we have to do so people do know. Okay, 5. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 17-006, a resolution endorsing the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Greenest Region Compact 2?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse?
Second?
Trustee Berrien, discussion? Gina, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burien?
Aye.
Motion carries. 6, is there a motion to accept a bid from the Len Cox and Sons Excavating for the construction of 159th Street Water Main Project within the village of Homer Glen in the amount of $1,286,981.50. It is understood that the Illinois Department of Transportation will allow the construction of the 159th Street main water main project to proceed once the traffic along 159th Street has been shifted to the new eastbound roadway permanent lanes, which are anticipated to be completed near the end of 2017 or the early spring of 2018.
So moved.
Trustee Gray.
Second?
Trustee Berrien, discussion?
I have a question for Director Selmovich. These prices are really wildly different. Is there any reason for that? I mean, that's a really big gap.
You know, it all depends on the contractors. Some of them were looking for work, some winter work, so they're going to be a lot more competitive. Other ones may have plenty of work, but they're going to throw a bid out there just to see what, you know, if they get it.
Plus, with some of it being low, because it's much lower than we anticipated it was going to cost. You also have, we're moving over, and IDOT's making it easy for us to put a lot of this
Sure,
stuff in much
sure.
quicker, so the price is less because they have to do it.
And HR Green has done vetting of this this company, right, by going through all of those solicitations. They make sure that they're hitting all the parameters that were initially laid out, right?
Correct.
As
And
well
all
as that they're a reputable contractor.
Correct. All of these contractors are IDOT pre-qualified.
Okay.
The project was advertised in the IDOT bulletin, so, and there was a stipulation that the contractors had to be IDOT pre-qualified.
Thank you.
I was just curious, what do they do for how do they pre-qualify them? Do they look at past work history or
There's a
financial?
various financial and work experience, you know, previous projects, things of that nature. It's a semi-lengthy process to get pre-qualified.
I mean, we went through 14 bids, so it's quite a bit.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of interest definitely on this project.
Do
The
once
closest
they
one
get-
was $57,000, I think, to this.
Yeah. Do they have to get pre-qualified every year, or is this like once they're in, they can, who knows what
I think
happens?
it's a periodic. I think it's not like, I don't believe it's a one-time thing. I think I would think that there's certain, that they have to get pre-qualified, re-qualified.
And this is on the north side from Gauger to Cedar, so people know.
Correct.
I like that we had 14 bids. That's, we know we're getting a good price, and it has two of my favorite phrases, which is lowest bid and under budget. So
Correct.
it's good to have this sort of bid interest, and so we can compare it. And when you look at, you know, the high of 3.3 million, and we're approving it for 1.3.
Right.
I think it's great.
The $2 million difference,
Yeah.
2.35.
And someone that wanted to sharpen their pencil, and someone that just said, if there's not 14 bids and we get lucky,
Correct.
here's our throwing of three.
Sure. No, it is a great thing that we're saving $2 million. It's just that usually they're a little tighter.
Well, there's still competition in there. You still have a few that are in 1.2.
Yeah.
So, all right, any other discussion? Gina, could you call the roll, please?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burden?
Aye. Sorry.
Motion carries. Number 7, is there a motion to approve an engineering agreement from HR Green for construction engineering services related to the 159th Street Water Main Project for the not-to-exceed amount of $74,000?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse.
Second.
Trustee Gray. Discussion.
Did this go to A&F or did I just miss that? Was this brought to A&F?
This was just coming directly to the village board.
Bidding time frame, no. The bid came in, was it,
We opened the bids on the 20th.
yeah,
How many bids did we have on this?
on the construction engineering? None.
Yes.
It was, these were the same designers as the main project, so we kept the bid results with the same group.
So no other bids?
Not on the construction engineering, no. That was part of there was a bid for the main project itself, the actual design, and so this is just a feed off of that. And I believe it's normally these are
Normally, they're approximately 6% is kind of the norm. This one is at 5.75%.
I still think that it would be a good idea to put it out for bid, just to find out what someone else is going to put it in for.
Something that Mike and I talked about, which I think is a great idea going forward, is building in the project management on the base bid and getting that number up front from the bids on the project instead of, going bid and then project management separate. Build it all in on the front end, and I think Mike thought that made sense.
And that is pretty standard in the industry.
Yeah, we'll work. It gets a little complicated because they haven't, when you're bidding the initial project, the design is not done yet, so it gets a little complicated. So there'll be a little guesstimate on that, but if that's the board's pleasure, we'll work out a system for that going forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Gina, could you call the roll, please?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Burden?
Aye.
Motion carries. Last, is there any old business? Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.